Hi, I'm attorney Gregory Dell, and I'm here with attorney Alex Palamara. And today we're going to talk about long-term disability claims for psychiatrists and psychologists. Now, Alex, we've represented thousands of doctors in different medical professions, and probably the biggest claim we've handled is for patients or it's for clients or claimants that have psychiatric conditions, the whole gamut of them. So we're extremely familiar with the what a psychologist and psychiatrist does. But when it comes to filing a claim for a psychologist and psychiatrist, a lot of disability companies think that it's nothing more than a doctor who just basically sits in a chair all day. And if they could sit in a chair all day, they can do their job. But
Right.
why is it so much more than that, Alex, when presenting it to the disability insurance company?
I mean, just thinking about what a psychiatrist, psychologist does all day, every day. I mean, it's a very fine specialty. The amount of training they've gone into what they're, to get to the point where they're at is a lot of training. It's more than just sitting there. It's a very cognitive job. I mean, all day, every day, you're using your brain, whether it's to diagnose somebody, whether it's to assist somebody, give them therapy. It's a very, I don't know if tedious is the right word, very stressful job. And you have to be on your toes of your feet kind of, because you're always using your mind every second of every day. It's kind of a very unique skill set these people have and requirements of their occupation.
Well, you were right about having to be like dialed in all the time when you're with a claimant. And the other thing is that the education to become a psychiatrist or a psychologist, a psychiatrist having a medical degree and a psychologist a PhD, is a significant amount of time. And that takes a lot more than just putting on the application for someone who's looking to hire a psychologist or psychiatrist to say, can you sit? But unfortunately, when we get these disability insurance denials and handle these claims, they say that a psychologist or psychiatrist is a sedentary occupation. And if they can sit for more than 6 hours a day with the ability to take a break, which psychologists and psychiatrists can't really take a break in a 50-minute to 1 hour session, then they can do their job. So their
Right.
whole education, 25, 28 years of education is relegated to, can you sit in a chair? Which is
Correct.
ridiculous. So the psychologist or psychiatrist watching this video may have that expectation that that's what it is, or maybe this is a surprise to them that this is how it's going to be. But unfortunately, this is how the disability companies look at these claims. The other thing, Alex, is the other day I actually took a call from a psychologist that specializes in children, and he had a back problem. And he said, I can't really do the job anymore, and completely understood, because a child psychologist doesn't just sit in the chair. A child psychologist is down on the ground with children all day long. They're playing games. It's not the adult relationship back and forth where one person's in a chair, one's in a comfy chair. It's a physical job as well, and that is a job in particular that goes beyond sedentary, because you're up, you're down, you're lifting, you're carrying, you're going to other locations. Possibly you're out with the child to keep the child more focused and off the fact that they're specifically, speaking to a doctor. You want the child to get out of their comfort zone. So that's a case where a type of psychologist or psychiatrist that's not sedentary type job. So Alex, when it comes time for the psychologist or psychiatrist to file their claim for disability, or if they've been denied and they need continuing medical support, how important is the medical support as well as the quality of the documentation in order to get approved for benefits?
Well, medical support is everything for your claim. I mean, it's your duty as a claimant when you're making these claims to prove your claim, and proof is in the form of medical documentation. So you need to have strong medical documentation, and it has to be as clear as possible. I mean, one thing about medical records that we all know is that, the doctors, when they write their medical records, half the time you can't read them. But all jokes aside, they're not really written for the purpose of proving to an insurance company that somebody is disabled. So when you're thinking about making a claim, or if you're on claim, you want to talk to your doctor, explain to your doctor that you're on claim, that you need to have your medical records as clear as possible, so that a layperson, a lot of people making decisions at insurance companies, disability insurance companies, are lay people. They may ultimately have a doctor or a nurse perform a review of your files, but the very first person looking at your claim is a layperson. So you need your doctors to be as clear as possible in medical records, what your objective evidence is, what your subjective evidence is, what your complaints are, because proof is your medical records and support from your treating providers, and proof is the most important thing, whether you're on claim or whether you've been denied and you need to strengthen your file for the potential appeal. So proof is everything in these claims.
So we talked about that you have to have the medical support, and then we've talked about the vocational, and there's a lot with the vocational that has to be, people who are in the occupation don't necessarily, they know it so well and they don't understand so much that the other people don't really know what they do day in, day out. They don't know that the demands of the psychologist are that when you're with that patient, you got to be dialed in for that entire time. Then you got to take notes after. They got to know that the psychiatrist can't just say, I don't feel well today or tomorrow and cancel, because their patients are extremely demanding and need their doctor to be available. I mean, this is one of the more stressful type jobs for the psychiatrist, because people are relying on them to keep their mental state in a good way. And it could be
a life or death. It could be a life or death situation too.
Yeah,
some people, it's crazy.
Often, and maintaining relationships and dealing with eating disorders and dealing with substance abuse. I mean, the gamut is gigantic for mental health. It's a national, obviously a national issue that we have throughout the country, and it affects people's ability to work. And people think, oh, well, you're a psychiatrist, you should be able to deal with it better than anybody. But just like a lawyer is the worst person to have as you shouldn't be your own lawyer. And you shouldn't be your own doctor. It doesn't mean because you're a doctor, you know how to handle your own problems efficiently. Right. Alex, talk about the definition of disability and what a psychologist or psychiatrist should expect in terms of what they're going to have to prove.
All right, typically, whether you work for, let's say the doctor or the psychologist works for, a practice, is just an employee of the practice, they might have a group policy that's going to be governed by the ERISA laws, and typically that policy will define disability as unable to perform the duties of your own occupation. And sometimes there might be a change in definition of disability, so if you get benefits for a certain amount of time, after that certain amount of time period, whether it's 24 months or 36 months, it might change, the definition of disability might change to be any occupation. You have to be unable to perform the duties of any occupation for which you're qualified based on your training, education, and experience. A lot of doctors, psychiatrists, and psychologists have their own policies that they go out and buy on their own. And those are individual disability insurance policies that are going to be governed by state law typically. And a lot of those times, those definitions of disability are own occupation policies. They're straight own occupation. So if you prove to the insurance company that you can't do your own occupation, your own specialty, you should get paid benefits. Now, the insurance companies, they like to dumb down what the requirements of your job are. As you hit on earlier on this video, they kind of like to look at these occupations as sedentary. They say, listen, this doctor can sit there all day. There's nothing preventing them from getting up every now and then. They have the ability to sit, for 45 minutes at a time. Thus, they can do their job. But they look over a lot of requirements of the job. Like we talked about earlier, there's cognitive requirements to perform, or there's obviously cognitive requirements to perform this job. This job is pretty much all cognitive. So if you're able to sit there and deal with the pain, and be able to sit there, that's one thing. But if you're dealing with pain, concentrating on pain, how can you possibly be concentrating on treating your patients? So you have to really explain to the insurance company what it means to do this job. A lot of the times they look at the job under the Dictionary of Occupational Titles, where the government puts out what they think is the general requirements of being a psychiatrist or psychologist or someone in this field, and you have to go above and beyond that. Oftentimes we do our own vocational reviewers, vocational studies to show the insurance company what the actual requirements of the job are, that it's more than just sitting there all day or more than just talking to people all day. This job is way more encompassing than just being a sedentary job. And we prove that to the insurance company.
And the other thing that's coming up now in this COVID world that we're living in is that many doctors are like, well, I can't commit to necessarily traveling to the office or going back and forth to the office or going to meet with patients at different locations, wherever it may be. And now there's this concept of the teledoc, or basically, the disability carriers are making the argument to say, well, what about if you could be in the comfort of your home and, go right into your living room or sit in your kitchen or whatever and do the session right there? Doesn't that make it give you the flexibility? Or maybe we understand you can't do 8 hours a day, but now you could do your job, do a 45-minute session, go lay down for 2 hours and go do another patient. So these are arguments that are being made now, which are making these claims even more challenging for the psychiatric professionals that we're starting to see now in this COVID world. So, a couple things I suggest if you're considering filing a claim or if you're having issues with your claim. First, most important thing is call Alex, call myself, or any of our disability attorneys. We're always going to provide you an initial free consultation. We're going to review your application for free. If you've been denied, we're going to review your denial letter. We're going to give you an initial opinion as to what we think of your claim and what would be required in order to work with our law firm, and most importantly, how we could help you. The second thing I think that you should do is you should go to our website and search your disability company. The reason for doing that is we have a lot of information about your company, such as cases that we've resolved, lawsuit summaries, common questions and answers, reviews from other people that have had your claim. What this is going to do is going to educate you about your company and about the process. And the more education you have about your disability company, the better position you're going to be in to get your benefits paid. And at the end of the day, education is power. And that's the most important thing here, is for you to be well educated about this process. It's going to give you the best chance to get your benefits proved. So no matter where you live in the country, we look forward to the opportunity to speak with you should you need us in the future. Thank you.